Hello, friends. I wanted to pop on and make this video because I recently had the opportunity to present and speak on the main stage at Upstate social sessions. And I spoke on October 3rd, the first day of the two-day conference, and my talk was called "The Future of Marketing is Human: Creating Connections in a World Cluttered with Content." And the conference was amazing. Not only did I have such a great time speaking for the group of probably like 350 plus attendees, but it was just so exciting to be around other social media geeks like myself that were eager to learn and share their knowledge. And Upstate Social Sessions was presented by the Digital Hive, and I just wanted to, before I show you guys the video of my talk, wanted to thank the Digital Hive and the Upstate Social Sessions team for inviting me to speak, for giving me the main stage. It was so much fun, and I'm just so excited for you guys to see the talk. So before I show you the talk, just a few quick things for you to know when you're watching. Number one, it's a little bit lengthy, obviously, because that's what a keynote talk is. I got the majority of the talk on camera. So that's kind of number two, is there's a bit of an abrupt end because my battery died on my camera. So that kind of gives you the reason to invite me to your organization or event to speak so that you can see the end. But I do want to share with you guys the main takeaways. I do want you to walk away from this video with the takeaways that I shared with my audience at the end of the talk. So the 5 key takeaways are: number one, you have to infuse humanity into your marketing. The future of marketing is human. That's the title of the talk. And you will see in this talk all the examples of how humanizing your marketing efforts will take you from here all the way up there. Tip number 2 is show you care. We all want to feel seen and heard. So as an individual and a business looking to grow engagement on social media, you have to spend time engaging and show your audience that you care. Number 3, use self-awareness as a superpower. Figure out what the thing that you or your business does best, what sets you apart, what's your special sauce, so that you can infuse that into your marketing. For me, that is being vulnerable, and you will see I get super vulnerable in this talk. Takeaway number 4 is consistency creates community. It is so important to be consistent on social media. You have to show up consistently and provide value if you want to create a sense of community. And takeaway number 5 is you have to create something that is worth tuning into. And that is what I go into in the talk. So take a look. You guys ready? Okay, so I want everyone to close your eyes. Like really, you can close them. Everyone close your eyes. And I want you to think back to the first time you used social media. I want you to think back to that moment when you recognized the power that these platforms have in creating human connection. Really remember that moment. For me, that moment happened in August 2009, and the platform probably isn't one that you've heard of before. The platform was called Unite for Climate, and at the time I was interning at the United Nations within UNICEF's youth department. And UNICEF was creating an internal social media network with the sole goal of connecting teenagers all over the world who had a shared interest in sustainability and a passion for problem-solving solutions around climate change. And I remember seeing a teenager in Ireland make a post about a project that their community was working on to increase the sustainability. And a teenager all the way over in Nigeria commented on this post. And this back and forth, they were exchanging ideas and getting each other so excited. And in that moment, I remember realizing this is the future for how human beings are going to connect. So let's take it way back, like to when I was a ham. Because it doesn't actually surprise me that I ended up gravitating towards working in an industry that is centered around human and using these platforms to build a brand for myself. Because I always liked being center stage. Because I liked having a place from which I could share my story. And storytelling was huge for me growing up. I was raised by two natural-born storytellers, and I have so many memories of my parents sharing stories with my sister and I around the dinner table. And I grew up in a really unique environment. Openness, honesty, transparency was at the forefront of my family unit. We talked about our feelings, we talked about therapy, we just had this open and honest kind of communication. And for as long as I can remember, my parents were in couples therapy. And that was something that they just spoke openly about. And when I was a senior in high school, my parents made the decision to get divorced. And I remember feeling depressed, and I was sad, and I remember turning to my friends and sharing with them. I told them that I was seeing a therapist to kind of help me work through those feelings. And it was like every time I shared, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I felt better. But I got these looks from my friends. It was like they couldn't believe that I admitted to being in therapy. And that was super weird for me because it just came second nature to me to share and talk about that. And that moment, it was the first time that I recognized that that was my superpower, that was my special sauce. My ability to be vulnerable and speak openly and just share. It felt like a gift that I could give the world, but at the time I wasn't exactly sure how I ended up doing that. And so let's fast forward, I ended up going to the University of Buffalo, and I did their 3-2 program, which meant that in 5 years I graduated with my master's and my bachelor's in business administration. And I started my career out at the Buffalo News. And it was during that time that I got really into Seth Godin. And Seth actually ended up coming to the Buffalo News to do a talk. And I actually ended up meeting him on the airplane the morning of his talk, but that's kind of a story for another time. The long story short of it is that I made an impression on Seth. So much so that after his talk, he ended up coming off stage, and he put his arm around me, and he asked me, "What are you gonna do to get fired from here?" And that question stuck with me. So I ended up getting a new job, and all the while kept reading his blog. And one day I stumbled across a post that he made about this thing called Ruckus Makers. And it was this exclusive weekend workshop. And I crossed my fingers and I applied, hoping to get a spot. And I was selected as one of 70 people to attend this exclusive weekend workshop with Seth. And Seth said so many things during Ruckus Makers weekend that just changed my perspective on life, on business, on creating value, on human relationships. But the one thing Seth asked our Ruckus Makers class that I will never forget is he said, "Would they miss you if you were gone?" And at the time, I didn't feel like what I was doing would be missed. And so it led me to leave my stable job and start Bravery Beats. I started doing social media for myself and for businesses. And I fell in love with social media more than I ever had before. I fell in love with YouTube, I was vlogging, and it was so cool, because YouTube was like having your own television show, where you were not only the star, but also the director. And I was just lit up, I was inspired, I was happy, I was doing work that felt really aligned to me and my creativity. And in doing all of that, it ended me where I am today, which is the social media director at Telesco Creative Group. We're a full-service marketing and advertising agency in Buffalo, New York, and I'm so proud to work with a team of creative, hard-working individuals who share my passion for mental health. And our motto at TCG is do the right thing. And I'm really proud to work with a group of people who believe in that at their core, who believe in doing the right thing. And I'm proud to just work in social media because it's powerful. It's thanks to these platforms that we have the ability to create a connection to anyone in the world. And so today, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about with you guys. I'm going to talk about what works today on social media, because this industry is constantly changing. So we're going to talk about where it's going and why I have found my place on Instagram, and why I think Instagram is huge. And I'm going to share with you guys a number of brands and individuals that I think are using this platform incredibly well. And don't worry, you don't have to write any of their names down. I'm going to let you know at the end of the talk where you can get a list of all of these people. And we're going to talk about what kind of content actually drives engagement And I'm going to share with you the human system, which is my 6-point system for how you can effectively infuse humanity into your content so that you can actually cut through the clutter and create connections on social media. Because social does so much for it. It lets us understand our audience. If you want to get to know who your ideal customer is, you go to their social profiles. You see who they follow, what they like, what they engage with. That lets you know who your audience is. And that's how I use it. I use the poll feature to ask my audience, what do you guys think of me using daily themes around my content? And 100% of them said yes. So I started doing it. I started doing these Motivational Mondays, Thankful Tuesdays, Wellness Wednesdays. And social media allows us to really connect to our customers. User-generated content is huge, and 86% of businesses use it because it works. And user-generated content is the concept of shining the light on your customers, letting your customers tell your story. Because I'm going to believe a friend of mine that endorses a product way more than I'm going to believe a business that just says their product is the best. We trust our friends, we trust our family. And user-generated content works. And so one of our clients at the agency is Bootleg Bucha. They're a local kombucha company in Buffalo, and we use user-generated content as a part of their strategy. We let our fans sell the product for us. We let them rave about us, and we share it. Because that is the kind of content that works. And user-generated content gets 28% more engagement than a standard brand post. So this is what you have to be doing now if you really want to be seen online. And social is a great place for collaborating with partners. Let's use one of my favorite Instagrammers, Rachel Goodeats, as an example. Rachel's famous for her workouts and her recipes, and most importantly, her cookie skillet. The RGE cookie skillet hashtag has like 2,000 uses on Instagram. And so for Ice Cream Sandwich Day, Rachel collaborated with a Seattle-based ice cream shop called Frankie and Joe's. And they used the Rachel cookie skillet and Frankie and Joe's ice cream to make this ice cream sandwich. And Rachel went on her Insta stories and she's talking about it, telling people when the doors are gonna open, which locations to go to. And when the doors opened on Ice Cream Sandwich Day, Frankie and Joe's had lines of hundreds of people wrapped around the block who couldn't wait to get their hands on this product. Because people trusted Rachel. They like her. They wanted the chance to get a product that they knew she endorsed, and maybe the chance to meet her. And lastly, social media lets us grow brand awareness. Siete Foods is a really good example of a company that understands this. Because Siete sends boxes of their product to food influencers all over the country. And Siete understands that by doing this, those influencers are going to post about Siete. They're going to let their fans tell the story for them. I personally discovered Siete and went to the store to buy Siete products because I saw them featured on Rachel Goodeats' story. And I was like, well, if Rachel thinks that these are the best tortillas, I bet that I will too. 93% of customers say that user-generated content is impactful in their purchase decisions. So if you are not starting to think about how you can shine a spotlight on your customers, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to really drive engagement. And lastly, of course, social lets us drive sales. And it's expected that digital worldwide ad spend will exceed $375 billion by 2021. And the thing is everyone's using social media. It's not just for B2B or B2C. Even TSA uses social media well. This post by TSA reads, "Oh snap, forgive us, but we're channeling our inner Katy Perry today. Baby, if you have fireworks, come on, leave them at home. You'll make our officers go, no, no, no." Through this post, TSA is not only entertaining their audience, they're tapping into something topical, and they're educating you on what you absolutely cannot bring onto an airplane. This makes TSA more likable. It makes them more human. And multi-billion-dollar food company Rich Products does the same thing. Of course, they show off their products, right? They show off their food. But they also show the humans that work for the business. And this Habitat for Humanity photo got 4 times more engagement than the product post that followed. People want to see other people on social media. And lastly, Bryan Fans, iSocial Fans. If you guys aren't following him, you totally should be. Bryan does a great job at bringing you into his world on social. If you follow him, you know that he's a dad of 3 girls, he's a big Steelers fan, and Bryan gives you a reason to follow him on all of his social profiles because he puts something different across all of his profiles. It gives you a reason to check him out and follow him everywhere. And social media is everywhere. Half of the world's population is using social media. And it's not just the millennials, it's the baby boomers and it's Gen X too. And we spend a lot of time on social media. We're spending more than 2 hours a day on these platforms. And while Facebook is definitely still kind of the leader in the game, and while I love all of these channels, Instagram I think is where it's at. Instagram is where I have found my community. And since 2015, Instagram has been skyrocketing in its power and its popularity. So much so that now Instagram is the platform that marketers want to learn the most about. And honestly, I think a huge reason for that is Insta Stories. We love that expiring content. It feels timely, it feels topical, it feels like it was made for us. We feel like we get behind the scenes looks into things that we never would have gotten before. And Facebook understands that. Even Facebook, which owns Instagram, understands that people are loving what Instagram has to offer. Facebook is putting a ton of resources and development and features and functionality into further developing Instagram. And Instagram has the strongest growth rate compared to all the other social channels out there right now. And I really think that a big reason for that is, there's 1 billion monthly active users on Instagram right now. And it's spread out across like a ton of different demographics. It's old people, it's young people, and teenagers are on there too. 72% of teens now use the platform, whereas it was just 52% just a few years ago. And I think that the reason why we love Instagram is because it's visual. We have short attention spans, so we enjoy the platform that we can like really easily, passively consume content just by scrolling. And we like Instagram because it's social. I've made a number of friends there. People are on Instagram with the goal of connection. They're posting photos of their friends, their babies, their dogs. It's a very social platform. And it's not bombarded with a lot of political stuff, which makes it a really nice place to spend time. And it's also pretty. The quality of photos and videos on Instagram is really high, and that makes it a great place to spend time. But the thing is all that prettiness comes at a downside. The downside of social is people are showing off their best selfies, their best brunches, their best vacations. People aren't often taking to social media in the midst of a panic attack. And so what happens is there's a lot of comparison. People look at these glamorous lives that they see online and they feel like theirs doesn't measure up. But the thing is social media is a highlight reel. And if we start comparing our everyday to someone else's highlight reel, of course we're gonna feel crappy. We have to recognize that it's a highlight reel so that we don't fall into the trap of comparison. Because social media is making some people feel like they're not wealthy enough, like they're not pretty enough, successful enough. At the core of it, some people are just feeling like they are not enough. And if there's one thing that I feel so strongly about using my voice and my platforms for, is to let everyone know that you, in your perfectly, beautifully imperfect state, you are enough. And there is nothing that you need to do or achieve or accomplish in order to be worthy of your own love. Because if you're gonna do what I recommend that you do, which is be brave and be vulnerable, you might get some trolls. Because they exist online. And we feel super safe behind our computer screens. People say things that they would never say in person when they're online. And I think a big reason for that is because we just have less face time. A lot of people, even I'm sure, walking to the bathroom, walking around here, like this, heads down in their phone. And I get it, we're at a social media conference. It's kind of the nature of the industry. But what I want to encourage is for everyone to literally and metaphorically pick their heads up so that we can recognize when and where the opportunities exist for us to create genuine connection. Because this is why these platforms were created. And I don't care how many followers you have on Instagram. I don't care if you have the swipe up feature. I care how you make your followers feel. What does your content do for people? And I'm not alone. Instagram also really doesn't care. Instagram has started removing the number of likes shown so that the only person that can see the number of likes the picture got is the person who posted it. Because Instagram understands that there is a negative mental health impact of these platforms. And so as marketers, we need to be able to read between the lines. We need to be able to see the signals that were being sent with these moves. And what it means is that things are moving towards humanity. They're moving towards quality. And we need to know that so that we know how to respond. So cut to December 2017, I called off my wedding and ended my relationship with my partner of 6 years. And at the time, I felt a little depressed, a little anxious, a little embarrassed. But rather than retreat into a hole, I took to social media and I started sharing. I just shared how I was feeling. And the messages that I got were unbelievable. I just want to say I really, truly enjoy following you. You're so real and not scared to be vulnerable and open. It's such a good trait. And a message of, I have high social anxiety. Your IG videos have helped me push myself to grow into a better person. You guys, the upside to social media is you're the driver. You get to decide. You get to decide how vulnerable you're going to be, what you're going to share, how often you're going to share, where you're going to share. You get to make all those decisions. You're in control. And if you get deep with your audience, they will meet you there. And you'll have the ability to turn handshakes into hugs. That's what Bryan Fans would say. And that is literally what Bryan Fans and I were able to do at Social Media Marketing World, which is the industry's largest conference in San Diego. And I've been connected to Fanzo for years online. We first met on Twitter, we took the connection to Instagram, we ended up exchanging numbers, we had these Skypes and FaceTimes, and we finally were able to meet in person in San Diego in March 2019. Look at the smile on my face. I was so happy to get to turn that digital connection into a real life connection. And I got to see him speak. I sat front row to watch him speak at the conference, and he totally surprised me by including me in his presentation as an example of the kind of connection you can create when you just show up and show that you care. But it's not exclusive to Bryan Fans. These women and I were all part of the Buffalo Blogging Network, which if you guys saw the When's Food podcast up here, Lindsay Robson started that network, and it's a digital networking group with in-person meetups. And I'd met these women online, but we finally got to take that connection to an in-person connection, and it was amazing. And since then, we've stayed in touch. We've gotten coffee, we've gone for dinner. And lastly, Chris Strub and I originally connected on Twitter solely because we shared in common the fact that we were both really close with our grandmothers. And so when my grandma passed away almost a year ago today, Chris was one of the first people to reach out to me to offer support and condolences because he understood the depth and the significance of that loss for me. And so it doesn't matter if you're close with your grandma, if you're into cars or carpentry. When you use social media and you just show up as your real self, you create the opportunity for other people to raise their hands and say, me too. And a genuine connection can be created. Because what works on social media, it's not chatbots. No one wants your canned, automated message. We want something real. We want quality. And quality trumps quantity. And when you focus on quality, amazing things happen. Got these messages. Hey Julia, first let me start by saying your positivity and energy are contagious. Your videos always get me pumped. I noticed you create most of your content with your phone. I was wondering if you'd be interested in the phone cable. I was trying to sell it, but if you want it, it's yours. Hi there, I'm having my wedding reception in Williamsville. I'd love to meet you. Just figured I'd extend an invite. And I love watching and learning. I joined Instagram so I can follow you and learn. I got an offer for a free phone tool, an invitation to someone's wedding, and I got someone to join Instagram because I stayed focused on the quality of my content. That's what works. Humanity is what works on social media. You have to be real. Because the thing is surface level content generates surface level responses. If you want your audience to open up to you, you have to be willing to open up to them. You have to be willing to share. And I think Shut the Kale Up, Jeanette does a great job at this. She talks about motherhood and breastfeeding. Jeanette shows up as herself, and it has allowed her to grow a following of more than 300,000 people on Instagram and work with big brands like Dyson and Adidas. And the Well Necessities, Lisa talks about our relationship to food, body image. This photo is about acne on her chest. She shows pictures of her stretch marks and she calls them tiger stripes. Lisa answers every single direct message that she gets herself. She doesn't outsource her inbox. She does the things that don't scale. And by doing that, she has created a loyal tribe. And lastly, from a business standpoint, for Bootleg Bucha, we created an ambassador program. We did the thing that didn't scale. We picked 12 of our big ambassadors, and we said, we're gonna make a program for you guys. We invited them in, we gave them a tour of the facility, gave them t-shirts, gave them free product. And what started out as a 12-person ambassador group has now grown to a waiting list of over 80 people who cannot wait to be selected as the next season of Bootleg Bucha ambassadors. And we have a library of over 100 user-generated content posts. Because when you shine a spotlight on your fans and when you show up and you are real, people pay attention and it makes them feel seen. So I'm gonna tell you guys how to do it. We're gonna go through the human system, which is essentially a 6-point system so that you can really infuse humanity into your content, cut through the clutter, and create real connections online. And so it starts out with having a plan, obviously. You have to have a plan in order to know where you're gonna go. And so you need to know who's your target audience. Who's your ideal customer? Who do you wanna reach? Understanding your target audience is gonna drive your tone of voice. It's gonna drive the language that you use. You wanna make sure that you're using words that your audience uses so that you really capture their attention. And once you understand who your audience is and how they speak, that's gonna drive what platforms you're on. If you're looking to reach teenagers, you're gonna spend a lot of time on TikTok. But if you're looking to reach the more established, kind of buttoned up professional, you're gonna head over to LinkedIn. So you need to understand what platforms you're gonna use and which you're gonna prioritize. Because you can't be everywhere all the time. So you need to pick the right platform that's gonna be your focused platform. And you need to decide what's your format, what's your style. Are you gonna use emojis in your text? Are you gonna be super casual? Are you gonna use curse words at all? Are you gonna be super professional? Are your photos gonna be light and bright or dark and moody? You have to think about these things because this is all encompassing for how your brand looks online. And you have to think about what are you gonna ask people to do? What are your calls to action? Are you gonna ask people to join your email list? Visit your website, watch a video. Thinking through the asks you're gonna make of your audience will allow you to make sure that you then strategically infuse them throughout your content. And then lastly, how are you gonna measure it all? What defines success? And how often are you gonna dive into the analytics? These things are really important to think about because this is how you create a really good plan. So now the next step is you gotta understand your special sauce. What makes you you? What sets you apart as an individual or as a business? What do you do differently? What gifts do you have to give to the world? It means that you're gonna need to tap into self-awareness. You need to know yourself so that you understand what are the things that you have to offer. Because once you understand that, you wanna make sure that you fill out your profile accordingly to reflect that. You want your profile to speak to the change that you're looking to make in the world. And I think that Lisa does a really good job at this. Her bio reads, teaching people to listen, love, and trust their bodies, one day at a time, one step at a time. So when people head over to Lisa's profile, they understand immediately whether they're a good fit to follow her, just based on her bio. And that's really important. So next it comes down to making a commitment to show up. And you have to show up as yourself. We don't want you putting on an act. We want the real you. You guys would be able to tell if I didn't like being up here. We crave authenticity. That is what we are attracted to. So be yourself. If you're super shy and quiet, embrace it. If you're loud and boisterous and energetic, embrace it. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but own what makes you you and be yourself and show up and engage. Spend time on the platform. It's not enough to just post and then get out of the app. Be a player in this community. Like other people's content, comment on their stuff. That's how you show people that you care about them, and that's how you grow now. Because the thing is consistency plus value equals community. It's not enough to just show up consistently. You need to show up consistently and be providing value if you really want to grow a loyal audience. And when you focus on your community, you're going to see the messages pour in. When I focused on community, I started getting really incredible messages. Thank you for being you and personal. It's inspired me to be more vulnerable in my posts. You just made my day for following me. You're so inspirational and someone I definitely look up to. I found you on Jasmine's live video. Hope you're having a great day. I suffer from anxiety also, and that's why I decided to follow you here. This message reads, I debated posting this, and then I was watching your stories, and I was like, Julia has been so open in her posts about feeling shame. I don't want to let shame control my life. So really, your energy helped push me even though I was scared. And hey girl, even though we've never met in person yet, I want to say this really spoke to me. When you talk about things that everyone can relate to, you have the ability to create real connections. I'm not afraid to go on Insta stories and talk about feeling anxious or depressed or dealing with perfectionism or comparison, because these are the things that connect us as human beings. When all I did was give people Twitter tips on Insta stories, it was like cricket. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, that means that you are super committed to getting all the value in the talk, and I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much to me. And if you are looking for a speaker at your next event or to come into your organization, I would love to be that person. So please do not be shy. Feel free to reach out. I am JBethJS on all the social media channels, so that's where you can find me. And in case you forgot, I'm the social media director at Telesco Creative Group. So as the social media director at a full service marketing and advertising agency, we do social media trainings. I go to area universities and talk and educate people on what they can do to drive more engagement today on social media. So if that sounds like something you need, please don't be shy and reach out. And if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do by now. Hit that thumbs up, share in the comments below what the main takeaway that you got from this video is, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.